Fantastic, and that's 12 o'clock. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to this webinar on how to ensure effective and engaging online teaching and learning. It's quite amazing to think, at the start of this year, and I think we were all expecting a very interesting 2020, who would have thought that we'd actually be conducting webinars with so many eminent teachers and headmasters and deputies online to actually discuss the fact that we had to move our whole world of education and what we normally do in a face-to-face environment into an online space. And I just think for everybody, the manner in which the way people have actually adopted the change, the calm that we've seen around the country has been absolutely amazing. And I certainly know when I talk about calm, it's not being complete calm out there. Certainly the engagement that we've had with schools over the last while, the frenetic work to make sure we could actually move ourselves to an online space was not a lot that all the students will understand. I will be introducing shortly the speakers, and I'm really privileged to be involved in a speaking panel with two world-leading experts within online and digital education. And in essence, the whole process of this webinar is to just share some thoughts, create a space of comfort and collaboration. We certainly were never prepared to be online this quickly, and I think if we work together, if we support one another, we can certainly make sure that we have a great teaching experience and a learning experience for all the students. I think one of the things that we've probably managed to achieve in the last while is we've created an environment that content and platforms for teachers have gone online. The thing that we want to discuss today is to make sure that within the process of going online, we actually create a space where we're going to be both effective, and that's discussing some of the things around the platforms we should be using and the platforms we're going to actually make available to the students. And then probably the most important thing that we need to work with through this webinar and through the next couple of weeks is to make sure we drive student engagement. I think one of the things that we're going to find at the moment is through the euphoria and the fact that students aren't going to school every day, there's lots of excitement, and students are going to be tuning in and logging into the platforms, and they're going to be quite engaged with what's taking place. As we get to week 2 and week 3, the effectiveness of what we're doing is really going to come into testing or be tested. So just from my side, by way of introduction, amazing and well done for everything that's been done. We just want to chat a little bit this morning in terms of how we can help make you more effective and more engaging. And it is through that we look at what's going to be covered within this webinar. And you will actually see through my first slide that was picked up about 3 minutes before we went live, that my slideshows moved out of sync slightly. And I think it's one of the things that when we get to Dr. Blewett's discussion, he's going to talk about. No matter how much planning we do, this digital space is never going to be perfect. And I think that's what we need to embrace. It doesn't need to be perfect if we're going to actually be effective out there. It's more about the engagement and the way we chat with our learners. So just looking at the 3 main areas that we're going to be covering will be technology platforms. We'll be looking at how to teach with technology. And then the last and closing side of what we're going to deal with is leadership within the chaos that we're currently facing. If I could please, Craig, my slides are not changing over. Fantastic. And it's with that I actually gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Bilal Katharda. Mr. Katharda is the founder and director of IT Varsity. They're doing some absolutely fantastic work in the online education space. Mr. Katharda has actually spent over 20 years within higher education and really has become expert within areas of technology and education. And at the moment is really doing a lot of work in terms of what platforms educators should be engaging on to make sure that they have a very, very efficient education system. And so it gives me great pleasure to actually bring him as the first speaker today to talk about platforms and the platforms that can be used as we move towards digital and online education. So thanks very much, and I welcome Mr. Katharda to chat to you.
Thanks a lot, Craig. this, as Craig has explained, has been some really amazing and unprecedented times. And you know, what stands out for me the most is the effort that schools and teachers have been making to get online. I mean, I've been contacted by dozens and dozens of schools regarding taking their content online. And what surprised me, maybe I shouldn't have been so surprised, is that so many schools are being so proactive. Well, almost every school that I've spoken to is being proactive, and they are putting in an admirable amount of effort into supporting their learners in the distance space. So that is really encouraging. I mean, we've got teachers that are using simple platforms that are not even intended for education, like WhatsApp, for example. I've come across teachers that are using WhatsApp to disseminate content to learners and to communicate with parents and learners, and it's really amazing. But of course, WhatsApp is not the ideal platform for education. Now, today what I want to discuss is what are the ideal platforms for e-learning. Now, again, something that Craig already hinted to is that it's not about the platform or about the content. It doesn't have to be perfect. But what's most important is that it needs to work for us. What is our current situation? What is the future as far as we see with e-learning and blended learning in our school? And then from there, using that information, we can make some decisions. So again, it's not the platform, it's what we make out of it. So primarily, when you look at the learning platforms out there that the vast majority of educators and schools are using, we've got these three: Microsoft Teams, Google Classrooms, and Moodle. Now, there are plenty of other platforms. I'm not saying there aren't. There are plenty, but these seem to be the most widely used by most schools and teachers. And what I want to do is I just want to discuss the features of some of these and some of the benefits and some of the downsides of these platforms, of each one of these platforms, because after all, they all have their pros and cons. And what you need to do after that is see which one works the best for you. I know a lot of you are probably on one or more of these platforms, but let's look at them one by one. So let's start with Microsoft Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams is actually, it started out life as a communication and collaboration platform. Think of WhatsApp, almost a chat app, but one where you can create various streams for chatting, and also one where you can share documents and use as a repository for documents. So in essence, you've got the document repository where you can share documents and work on those documents collaboratively, and you've also got the chat. So for example, you as an educator might put up some notes, and then your learners immediately have access to those notes, and then they can chat with you and ask you questions around those notes. You can put up notes, you can put up videos, links to videos, you can put up PowerPoints, pretty much any type of media that you can create on your computer can be uploaded to Teams. So Teams has firstly a persistent workplace chat. Now, what's the meaning of a persistent chat? Persistent means, unlike a WhatsApp chat, you know, when you clear it, it's all gone. With Teams, the chat is stored permanently on their server. So if you need to go back, if a child needs to go back or a parent needs to go back to any question or any chat that took place, they can always go back. The great thing about Teams is that it's got built-in video meetings, so it brings in the capability of Skype. So from Teams, you can run your digital classroom. Teams also has file storage, like I explained earlier on, and it also integrates extremely well with all of Microsoft's package. So if you are already using the Microsoft package, if your school already uses the Office package, then you are good to go with Teams. I mean, it integrates beautifully with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneDrive, etc. So Teams gives you the ability, you know, in a nutshell, to communicate. So there's the chat, there's channel conversations, and then there's meetings, live face-to-face meetings also. You can personalize it somewhat. Teams is excellent for delivering content. This content can be created in Microsoft Office and seamlessly shared on Teams. You can submit assignments on Teams. You can put up assignments for your learners. They can do their assignments and submit it online. You can even mark it online. And the other great thing about Teams is that it integrates beautifully with a lot of third-party solutions like Flipgrid, Turnitin, MakeCode, and others. The next one is Google Classroom. Now, what exactly is Google Classroom? Now, Google Classroom is a free web-based LMS. LMS stands for, in this case, Learning Management System. Now, that's where Google Classroom differs from Teams. Teams is not, strictly speaking, a learning management system. It's a collaboration tool. But Google Classroom is a learning management system. A very simple one, but it is a learning management system. Now, Google created this to simplify creating, distributing, and grading content and assignments in a paperless way. Now, how does Google Classrooms work? Google Classrooms, very similar to Teams, works on top of the Google suite of products. So you've got, for example, Google's Gmail, Google Docs, Google Calendar, Google Drive. So you can think of these as the individual Google programs. And on top of that, you've got Google Classroom, almost like an interface that brings in the best of each of these features that you can use now for your classroom. Now, what's great about Google Classroom is that you can enroll your learners. It's free to set up. You can enroll your learners very easily. All you do is you send them a link. They click on the link, and they're immediately enrolled into your classes. Now, Google Classroom has some amazing features. You know, you get a paperless classroom. Of course, easy to set up. You can you get access to all of Google's products like Google Docs, and with Google Docs you've got virtually unlimited storage, so you don't have to worry about storage space, about where you're going to store your videos and your notes and things. Google Classroom also gives you instant collaboration between teachers and students outside the classroom. I mean, this is what we are going for right now during this lockdown period. It's simple to set up, saves money because it's free, and for teachers, and this is the best part. This is the part that makes Google Classroom a little better than Microsoft Teams, in that there's progress tracking. Remember, Google Classroom is a learning management system, so it has a limited amount of progress tracking for students. Finally, Moodle. Now, Moodle, you guys may be familiar with Moodle. Moodle has been around the longest, I think over 15 years. It's a fully fledged learning management system. It was created specifically for that reason. It is created from the ground up for learning. It's not some other package that used to be for some other purpose and was modeled for learning management system as an afterthought. Moodle was built for learning, and it's used by a wide range of institutes, schools, organizations, universities around the globe. It's hands down the most widely used LMS in the world, and it has currently 100,000 installations with 150 million students. So 150 million students on Moodle. It supports multimedia content of every type that you can possibly imagine, and it's not bringing in content from outside. It supports all of this internally. The great thing about Moodle, and this is my favorite aspect, and we use Moodle at IT Varsity, the best part is it's built around active and collaborative learning. I mean, Dr. Craig Blewett will explain to you, the different pedagogies around online. But Moodle is almost, it's geared for all of these active learning and teaching and collaboration, and it has a set of tools that supports that. It's got lots of tools, and here's hands down the best part about Moodle for me. The reporting capabilities. I mean, you can see on an extremely granular level exactly what each student is doing and how they are performing. It is amazing in that regard. So again, some of the features of Moodle: it's comprehensive, full-featured. It's got lots of learner-centric tools like forums and chats built in. It enables collaborative learning. It makes it easy to do collaborative learning. And what's great about Moodle is that it's so flexible. It can be as simple or as complex as you need. And it's good for all types of institutes. I mean, schools universities, businesses. I mean, we've done installations at corporates, and they are flying with it. They are extremely happy with Moodle. Moodle is also scalable, meaning it can grow with your institute. As your institute grows, your system grows. I mean, last time I checked, it can handle almost 50,000 concurrent users. That means all logging in at the same time, which is amazing. Moodle is open source, and it also has a rich set of plugins. It's got an incomparable set of plugins, almost 1,500 plugins just available for Moodle. The downside to Moodle is that it needs hosting. In other words, you either rent hosting with a third-party company, or you work with a company that already has Moodle installed, and you pay for your version or your instance of Moodle, and you can use it. Now, Moodle is great as a learning management system, but it's also great as a long-term strategy for your school. If you need something to get something going like right now, I would recommend either Microsoft Teams, which of the three is the quickest and easiest to set up, or Google Classroom. But as a long-term strategy, if you want something that is as unique as your institute, then Moodle is definitely the way to go. After all, we use it. That's all I have to share today. And obviously there'll be a question and answer session. I'll be glad to answer your any questions that you may have. In the meantime, I just want to introduce Dr. Craig Blewett, a good and dear friend of mine, and one of the most brilliant people I know when it comes to education and technology. Craig?
When you get an intro like that, I mean, thanks, Bilal. I think you're setting the bar quite high there. But great to have the opportunity to talk to everyone here today. And I'm hoping to do something that might be a little bit different, and hopefully something that's going to be quite effective for you. So I'm going to throw something up on the screen here, and that's what I want you to do. I'm not going to be using PowerPoint because I actually want to try and demonstrate something to you over this the stream that we're doing, over the webinar. I actually want you to get a little bit involved with what I'm doing. So if you're doing this on your phone, it might be quite fun because you're going to try and do two things at once, or grab another phone, grab a friend, social distance, don't forget that. But if you're watching on your laptop and you've got a phone, if you can jump into Menti, you just go www.menti.com and you would type in that code 204827, and you're actually going to be able to sort of join me in the little journey. So .com 204827. So if you do manage to get in, that's super fantastic. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how do we teach in this online space in these relatively difficult times. I can see some hearts, so I can see some of you are in. That means that you're here. And I know this is challenging. I know that we've never experienced something like this. I mean, we want T-1 from lockdown today. So I mean, that is emotionally and personally challenging. And I had some of my technical people say that we'd lost our feed. Are we on? How are we on, team? You can see the feed. Right. If I can't see you, that's okay. We're just going to check whether our feed is technology.
We're on.
Okay, we're back. Right. So, thank you for the love. And I'm hoping we're going to feel a little bit like that little dog there as we continue. Right. So let's just look at a few things. Now, what I've been working really, really hard on, and I spend a lot of time working with schools. I've worked with schools, universities around the country, around the world, on trying to help them to teach effectively with technology. And I use those words purposefully, teaching effectively with technology. And what I've done is I've built several courses, and specifically a really big online course that is around blended learning. But I needed to try and put together something that was going to be quick, something that teachers could really get themselves to scale up quickly, but be effective. And so I put together what I call our teachers' VAX solution. So if they haven't invented a vaccine, well, hopefully this is at least our vaccine for education. And I really want to talk a little bit about that. So what is I consider to be the VAX solution, and the online course, which we'll share the link later, which is going to be free to everyone who's watching this. Well, the very first part is creating virtual friendly content, and Bilal was talking to that with these platforms. And the second part is not stopping there, but then learning how to activate that content with digital pedagogy. I'm going to show you how important that is. And then the third part is now experiencing active teaching and learning. When you take the content, you take the technology, and you put the pedagogy to tie it together, you can experience active teaching and learning. And I believe this can be absolutely mind-blowing change. So very quickly, virtual friendly content. Well, there's loads of virtual friendly content. It's just that we've got to take what we were always doing and now move it online. So yes, as teachers, we had worksheets and we had notes. We need to move that online. And Bilal spoke about spaces like Google Drive, OneDrive, or Moodle, that you can take those notes and you can put them online. Same as slides. If you were using PowerPoint, there's absolutely no reason why you can't take that same PowerPoint, put it into PowerPoint online. Or in fact, the slides that you were watching for Craig and Bilal, those were sitting on Google Slides. So it's quite easy to now distribute that content in a similar way. Videos. Well, you've spoken to your class for years and years, why not record it? And in the online course, I really do talk quite a lot about this, creating your video content. We're not into blockbusters here. I know maybe one day you want to win an Academy Award and you want to be Steven Spielberg. That's not what this is about. This is about just being genuine. In fact, on my online course, you will see me, I'm holding my phone, I'm talking. This is the TikTok era. Just record yourself, just be natural, keep it short and sharp, upload it to YouTube, keep it unlisted, and only your students are going to find it. And again, on the online course, I will show you how to do that. It really is simple. So that's the first step. It's virtual friendly content. So we all get excited and we create this virtual friendly content and we put it online and we go, students, go for it. And then it doesn't really work. And this is the message I've been bringing to schools for years. You see, simply moving content online is not effective teaching. That is content dissemination. And that's why we see headlines like this all over the place, how technology is failing us in the classroom. But now how are we sitting here? We're saying, but that's all we've got. But is it the technology's fault? Because if you think about it, is technology not what's making business so successful? Is technology not what's making this, what we're doing right now, so successful? Is it the technology, or is it something else that is a problem? There's a very famous model, it's called the TPAC model, it's an education model that clearly explains what the problem is here. And it says, well, we need technology is really important, and we need great content. So as teachers, that's where we sit at the moment. We've all rushed out and we've got Teams, or we've got our Google Classroom, or whatever our platform might be, and we've been scrambling to get good content. We've either been digitizing our own content, or we've been finding free content. There's loads of amazing free content. And we put the two together, and still it's not going to be effective, because the third aspect for effective teaching is the pedagogy aspect. And as teachers, we know this. It's not a surprise. We went to teacher training college and we learned about pedagogy. But somewhere along the line we forgot. And we seem to forget when technology came, because all of a sudden we forgot about the pedagogy and we all focused on the technology. And so this is what we need to remember, that we need effective pedagogies to be teachers, because pedagogy is the difference that makes the difference between being a user and a teacher. I love this little quote from George Westerman from MIT. He says, when digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, but when it's done wrong, all you have is a really fast caterpillar. And that's what we see. And it's okay to be really fast caterpillars at the moment. We're trying to take the content and put it out there as fast as we can, and that's okay. But it's not a long-term sustainable solution. And that's the opportunity we have now. We don't know how long this is going to last. But even if it lasts for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it may be, whatever we do now, if we build it correctly, if we approach it correctly, it's going to transform how you teach for the rest of our days. And I believe this is going to be the time that our school and our education systems are changed forever. And so I just want to quickly highlight there is a big difference. There is a big difference between using technology and teaching with technology. When you use technology, you use it to become efficient. That's why business has technology. But as teachers, we are trying to not be efficient, we're trying to be effective. And that is a different goal. And that goal requires pedagogy. And unless we bring that into the mix, we are not going to be effective in the long term. And so yes, at the moment we might want to be efficient, We need to get the content out there. We need to quickly try and disseminate content. Fantastic. But let's not lose that opportunity to now take it to the next level. Let's not lose the opportunity to now take that, bring in pedagogies that have been proven to work, and become effective as teachers. So that's step number 2. We've got the content, yep, digital friendly content. The second step is active teaching and learning pedagogies. We have to have that to transform. And it's in this that I spent a lot of time. And my research and my work and the books I've written are all around a developed model, which is called the activated classroom teaching model. And it is a model for teaching in the digital age, and it's based on a series of 5 active pedagogies. There's 6 in total. The first is the pedagogy of consumption, which is a non-active pedagogy, essentially what you're doing at the moment, besides the hearts that are coming through. The other 5 are active pedagogies: curation, conversation, correction, creation, and chaos. And these pedagogies are highly effective with our current batch of students, because the research was based on how they teach and how they learn, and highly effective with technology. And the best part, it's really easy. Once you understand the pedagogies, once you have the filter to see your technology through these pedagogies, everything changes and it truly becomes exciting. So it's time to get our learn on. It's time for us as teachers to start to learn about these pedagogies. And I know we're learning about technology at the moment and we're scrambling for content, but it's time for us, and I know our students are probably saying, let's what the teachers learn now. It's time for us as teachers to say, yes, we need to learn to teach in a different way. And I've been astounded by how teachers have stepped up. Incredible show to say we're stepping up and we are going to change. And I know change isn't easy, but now is our moment to show what's possible. And so now I want to show you the experience. In fact, I actually want you to experience it a little bit. So for those of you who've managed to get onto the website and to Mentimeter, you will now be able to see a little bit of what it feels like to be involved. So if you haven't managed to join Mentimeter, you can go to www.menti.com and use the code 204827. So for this last part, I'm over a webinar, which is really online distant teaching, going to give you a little bit of an experience of how it is that you could use even just one tool and activate the learning and the teaching. I don't want this to be passive, because up to this point all we've been doing is consumption, content dissemination, and there's a place for that. But how do I engage you? How do I get it to the next level? And so let us see how we can do that. And so I'm going to very quickly talk about just 3 of the pedagogies, because those are only 3 that I'm covering in the online course, just so I can get you going quickly and give you a little bit of a taste for it. So if you've managed to join, if you haven't, you still can, menti.com, and the code is 204827. Right, so experiencing active learning. Are you ready? So just loosen your fingers, loosen your head, just relax a little bit. Now is the moment to try and experience this. Right, very quickly. The first of the ACT pedagogies is the pedagogy of curation. For far too long as teachers, we've been obsessed with pre-packaged content. What do? We buy textbooks. We source the videos that the students should watch. We produce the notes. But our students are constantly curating their own content. When they're on Facebook, when they're in Instagram, wherever they may be, they are pulling content into their feed that they want to share. What are they doing? They're curating. They are looking at lots of content and pulling in the content that they want. They are natural curators. Why are we giving them all the content? I know we freaked out, we've got to give them the right stuff, but we need to start to change some of that and empower our students rather than just giving them content to go out and curate their own content, because it develops really, really powerful skills. Right, so let's have a look at this. We're sitting in a situation at the moment where we're not sure what we need to do next. So I've listed 5 things there, and I want you to put them into the order you think is most important. So there are 5 things that we really need to start doing: finding and creating digital content, training students to learn with technology, training teachers to use technology, which is slightly different to training teachers to teach with technology, and then obviously sharing content and tools with one another. So what I would like you to do is to rank those in the order that you think are most important. So quite simply, all you need to do is you choose the one that's number 1, and then you'll see in the next drop down you can choose number 2, and so there'll be less and less options. So while I'm waiting for you to do that, essentially what are you doing? You curating. you see, I could have given you the list and say, well, these are the top 5 things. What happens when I give it to you? You go, uh-huh. You don't even have to think because I gave it to you. There was no thinking involved. But now you're needing to think because you're going to say, is number 2 more important than number 3? Or is number 5 more important? Your brain is being invoked immediately. Right, so I can see I've got some results coming through. I'm going to flick them up on the screen here. Find my little mouse. Right, there we go. Okay, so at the moment, and you can keep voting, it'll change. At the moment, I'm glad you guys are listening. Really important to train teachers to teach with technology. Obviously, we always need to train them to use technology, but I think most teachers know how to use most technology, but obviously we need to do that. And in my online course, I will show you how to use things to video and to upload to YouTube, etc. We need both of those. Yes, we do need to find and create digital content, and at some stage train our students a little bit, because you'll be surprised they don't always know how to do these things. That's why platforms like Bilal mentioned, the Moodle platform, makes it easy because it's a little bit more control. And then share with each other, share with everyone what we found. So there we've got a curated list from first to fifth. Now you could be looking at that and say, oh, I don't agree that that should be number 2 or number 3. Fantastic, because what have I made you do? I've made you reflect on what I put up there, because if I just put it up there without any involvement from you, you would have just glanced at it and hardly thought about it. And so you were involved in curating. You had to actually order that. And that's just a very, very quick example of curating. So with 74 votes coming so far, number 1 and 2 are hot on each other's tail there. Both of those, I believe, are really important. Right. The next pedagogy of the ACT model is the pedagogy of conversation. Now, traditionally when we teach, someone stands and speaks. And you know you can't do that for very long. Even in an environment like this, the reason I want you active is because I know, yes, make the cat meow. That's you talking to me. We can sit at a coffee shop. We're going to have a lot of time for this now in our lockdown period. But we can talk. We can talk to people for hours. But just one-way conversation is so difficult to do. And so we need to try and move to a pedagogy of conversation. We need to try and get more involved in this pedagogy where we start to engage with each other. And it's something that's natural to our students. Our students are always having conversations. Just look at it. Right now, in this stream on YouTube, we're having a conversation. Now, you would think, YouTube is a consumption pedagogy. No, it isn't. You can create a video. It's a creation pedagogy. You can have a conversation around it. It's a conversation pedagogy. Conversation is central to social media. It's what our students are doing all the time. And so it's really, really important that we embrace it as a tool for teaching and learning. So let's have a quick conversation. Me to all of you who are out there who happen to be live online at the moment. Here's my question. What is your advice for teachers in the next 3 weeks? Now you'll see on your device, if you're on Menti, that you can type in a comment. So I'm going to have a conversation with you through my camera out to YouTube, across the world, around the web, and back to you, and you can submit your advice. So give me your advice. What is your advice for teachers at the moment in this current scenario, in this current crisis? Right, we'll see a few as they come in. Here we go. Relax and be safe. Absolutely. Keep things simple. I love it. And I'm going to come to that just now. Stay calm. Breathe. Laptop. Be open to new ideas. Start finding online resources and experiment. It's absolutely experiment. And I'll talk about that as well. Be prepared to go for it. Make sure you have a holiday. I like it. Okay, we're going to have a holiday. You're going to be at home for 3 weeks. You're going to have a holiday. Enjoy it. Do the things you couldn't do. Someone's there said do something different. Think about what needs doing. Try to engage the kids actively. Calm their fears. Do your best for what you have. Exactly. Our students aren't expecting any more than that. Rest. Stay strong. Embrace technology. And so we're seeing all these amazing ideas coming forth. But what I wanted to illustrate is I'm having a conversation with you, and you're not even here. Can't see you actually, are you there? Oh, there you are. I can see you. You're not even dressed properly. Right, we're having a conversation. Relax, be open to do new ways, get trained for thus. Keep in touch, check it via Teams, upskill. Okay, we are seeing some really, really great things being said here. And what I'm doing is I am using technology to have a conversation. So all of a sudden, something what is so static doesn't have to be. This is fantastic. Yes, I don't know. What's your advice for teachers the next day? Yeah, you've got to interpret what that means. Just like, and yes, a lot of us are feeling like that. And maybe this is a key one to finish this part on: be proactive. I think it's something that's important, that we are living in these interesting times, and we need to be proactive in what we are trying to do. The last pedagogy that I want to touch on out of the 5 is very quickly the pedagogy of correction. So many of us as teachers, and if you think like me, we are obsessed with things being right. I know for all of us who are sitting up there and you can't see, there's hundreds of people running around in the background, setting up this technology. We freaked out if it isn't right. We got to get things right. So we have our notes, and our notes are perfect, and they're all laid out and they're right, and our lesson is right and everything is correct. And then we communicate that to our students because we tell them you've got to get it right. But we know that learning doesn't happen like that. Learning happens when you make mistakes. I mean, who ever learned to ride a bicycle without falling off? If you ever try to do skiing or anything like that, you'll never learn unless you fall down. And that's a big, big, important lesson, that technology is one of the tools that actually makes it easy for us to make mistakes and correct it. In the old days, when you made a mistake, it was really difficult. You had a piece of paper and you had to get Tipp-Ex out. With tech, you can change it. And so embracing the pedagogy of correction is extremely powerful, because not only does it support what technology enables, but it is the core to learning, and the core to learning in the digital age. And so we need to be more prepared to adopt this pedagogy of correction. So to that end, I want to see if you've been listening, because I'm actually going to have a little quiz. So now this is going to be really interesting, because this quiz is obviously running over YouTube, over a stream, which is probably 3 or 4 seconds behind. So those of you, I've got quite a few have come online, 75 of you. So you need to try and watch your screens as quickly as possible and see how we go. So, we'll see if we have enough time for you to answer these questions. So the way it works is just 3 little questions. I'll give you a taste. The way the quiz is going to work is a question is going to appear on the screen, so you're going to have to watch the screen. It won't be on your phone. And then on your phone, you need to answer. You need to answer quickly, because the faster you answer, the more points you get. But just be careful, because if you answer fast and wrong, you get the 0 points. Nothing. Okay. So are you ready? Give me the thumb. No, you can't give me the thumbs up. Okay, I can see you ready. We have got 84 people who are online ready, 85 ready for the quiz. Here we go. Let's see who is the ultimate winner of this quiz. Answer fast to get more points. So here we go. Easy one. Whose logo is this? Whose logo? Starting with a really simple one. Whose logo? All the answers are piling in. 63, 65. Time's going to run up. You've got 20 seconds. Get your answer in before the time runs up. Some people are obviously Googling the logo, saying, whose logo is this? All right, we've got 10 seconds left to get your answers in, and I've got 78 submissions. Now remember, the faster you submit, the more points you get. 3 seconds, 2, 1, and time up. Here we go. Let's see how everyone did. Okay, a little concerning. Oh no, we'd have to get Bill back here to talk to you again. We've got 39 people saying that it's called What's Up, and 45 saying WhatsApp. I can hear you laughing at yourselves. Thankfully, hopefully you're far away from your students, and they'll never see a recording of who answered what. It's not called WhatsApp. I always say this to teachers: if you want to look cool, some teachers trying to look cool with the tech, and they go to their students, hey, guys, don't worry, we've got this whole online teaching thing sorted. We're going to be using WhatsApp and Twitter. You can imagine the confidence that instills in your students when it's actually WhatsApp and Twitter. Right, but anyway, we do have a whole 45 who got it right. I'm glad none of you went for Phonely or Skype. Right, let's have a look at the leaderboard. Okay, Lockdown Clown, Dr. Evil, Millie. Right, let's see who's on the top of the leaderboard after the first round, and Andrew is top. Now, that means Andrew got it right. All of those people got it right, but Andrew was the fastest. Okay, you got the idea? You ready? Here's another question. Remember, the quicker you answer, the more points you get. The piece we miss when educating with technology, what is it that we're missing? Is it technology, pedagogy, baking powder, or immunology? Get your answers in as fast as you can. All right, we've got 60 answers in, 15 seconds left. There's a clue in the thing on your image on your screen if you can't figure it out. And here we go, time running out with just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time up. Right, let's see how we did. Yes, I love it. You see now what I've just shown is 73 people out there are listening. Now isn't it amazing? Because I can't see you, but I'm getting feedback from you. We're engaging through correction, and I can see 73 of you knew what's going on. It looks like 6 of you thought it was technology. No, we got, and yeah, we may be missing technology, but that's not the real missing piece. We've got great technology, we've got great content, but we need the pedagogy to glue it together. So well done to those 73. I can see you are listening. So how's the leaderboard looking? Right, there's going to be a few changes, and it all depends on the speed in which you answered. Let's see who's at the top. And at the top now is Mela, Joe, Dr. Eva, Lauren, and Lockdown Clown. Can Lockdown Clown make his way to the top? We've got one question left. Here we go. The final question. Be careful before you answer this one. Can you get it right? It's easy. What does this emoji mean? I'm dancing, I'm so happy. I'm okay, it's okay. I'm happy, I give up. What does it mean for teachers in lockdown mode? Dancing, okay, happy, or give up? What does the emoji mean? Right, just 10 seconds left. Just over 70 answers in. Time nearly up. 3, 2, 1, and there we go. Time up. Let's see how well you know emoji. Okay. Right. Only 15 getting it right. I understand why 3 of you said I give up, because she's probably thinking as teachers and say I give up. I give up. I'm dancing, yeah, that's happy, and I'm happy is happy, but it's actually I'm okay. It comes from, I think, scuba diving, because if you do scuba diving, you either say I'm okay, or you put your hands around and make a big O, I'm okay. And we are okay. Yeah, we might not be overjoyed about this current situation, but we're okay. And our ability to use technology to connect like this is just amazing, and it opens up some amazing opportunities. So let's have a look at the leaderboard. Who is the ultimate winner? Ooh, a few got it wrong there, some are really quick. Here we go. Standing on the top is Nemo. Well done, Nemo swims to victory. Nemo's the winner. I can see Nemo dancing out there. Well done, Nemo. And second we have Mela, and we have E.T. Well done. So what I wanted to show you, that was really a quick way of engaging in correction. I could actually gauge how much of what I was saying you were listening to. And there's lots of amazing tools that we can use to activate our learning. So the big question is, and now? Yeah, and now. I'm going to ask you this before I conclude. What word or words describe how you're feeling about teaching now going forward? We've had a week of trying to get our heads around this, or maybe just over a week, and it's been quite stressful. And yeah, it's in some ways it's concerning, it's exciting, it's challenging, it's whatever. What words describe how you're feeling about teaching going forward in the next weeks and months? I'm going to give you a moment to put that in, and then I'm going to show you the results in an interesting way on the screen. So you can submit more than one word. Better if you put just one word in each block. But it's not important if you don't. How are you feeling about teaching going forward? Right, I've got 26 in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something on the screen now that should be quite interesting. And this that you're going to see is a word cloud. And a word cloud, if you don't know how it works, the more people that use a certain word, the bigger it gets. So it's wonderful to see the biggest word at the moment is excited, and of course we should be seeing words like nervous there, and challenged. But look, excited, positive, motivated, inspired, exciting, happy, and that is exactly it. It is scary, and there's no getting away from it. We've never, in all human history, have we ever had a situation where we're all in lockdown like this. But when it comes to teaching, I believe it opens up exciting opportunity. I've spoken to so many schools who have said, we want to change how we teach. Well, now we've just got no option. And it's often just because we didn't have time, and we're busy, and we're always busy. And you all know the example of there's things that are important, the things that are urgent. And we always tend to do the things that are urgent but not important. Well, now teaching effectively is urgent and important. And so it's wonderful to see that excited is really there. And I'm loving the positive words, positive, motivated, challenged, yes, and that's what it is. And then we've got the other things, like it is a little bit stressful, etc. But that's okay. So there we have, in a word cloud, you sharing with us how you are feeling. And so I want to just finish with 3 little things. Rugby. Yeah, remember the days when we could play it? Okay. We used to, when we did rugby scrums in the old day, we've changed it slightly now. We had a saying that the ref would say, touch, pause, engage. And I want to say no touch at the moment. But what I want to focus on is just pause. It is frantic, and we are going to have a forced pause. For 3 weeks, we are going to pause. And it's okay if you don't do something tomorrow, or the next day, or the day after that. Let's just breathe, relax, and be calm. And then we will realize that we have a space to make things amazing and to do things in really exciting ways. So, breathe out. Pause. And let's just for a moment, let our kids who are at school, and they're meant to actually be on holiday now, let them have a few days break or a week's break or whatever it may be. But as teachers, let's pause for a moment. And then, the second thing I want to say, our students are used to a concept, and I call it the beta concept. Every time a new piece of software comes out, it's full of errors, whether it's on your phone, on your computer, because it's in beta. It's getting better all the time, but it's never perfect. And we're used to upgrades and patches and new things to improve your operating system or to improve the app. Our students are used to that. Well, the same applies to us as teachers. We need to get accepting that we don't have to have it right. Let's have a beta mindset. If you can just get something out, it's okay. It's not perfect. Don't worry, your students, they'll appreciate it. And then tomorrow it'll be a bit better. And the next day it breaks and falls down. You go, that's okay. We'll try again. And so I think that if you want to be a better teacher, think beta teacher first. And that'll make all the difference. And then thirdly and lastly, together. This is something that works best together. Ironically, we're all going to be separated. Yet we're together. Right now, we are together. And so we need to work together. We need to work with other colleagues, with other schools. Now, I've been overwhelmed, and we're chatting to Bill and to Craig Duff as well. How many people have reached out to us? How many schools have been working with each other? It's just been astounding. Sharing content, sharing resources, sharing ideas. And that's what we ask you. Share this video with others. Share what we've told you with others. Because that's how we're going to get through this together. And I think if there's one strong thing that comes out of what's happening in our country and around the world at the moment, all of a sudden, we're all facing one enemy. It's like we've had an alien invasion. Well, it's come. And it didn't come from out there, it came from on the planet. But the benefit of it is we're together. We're doing it together. And I think if we focus on that, we're going to make all the difference. So, I'm offering you a free course, which is a tailored down version of my longer course, which takes about 40 or 50 hours to complete. And the longer course is really trying to prepare you to be a blended learning teacher, to do it in your classroom, to take all of the pedagogies, to apply them with a whole range of tools. I took all of that, I scrinched it down, I put in some things that I thought you really needed to know now, and try to make it just sharp and to the point and effective, because I have 2 key philosophies when it comes to this sort of thing. It must be easy and it must be effective. And so you can go to that link, and what we are going to do after this, everyone who's enrolled via the NewBridge link is going to be sent a link where you can capture your details. If you're a school and you've got lots of teachers who you want to put on the course, you can send us a spreadsheet with all of them, and we will upload them to the course. And really, it's only going to take about 4 to 5 hours to go through, maybe even less depending on how quickly you want to watch it. It's a different course because I'm going to teach you about the pedagogies, but I'm going to engage you. I'm going to make you active, and I want you to actually experience what online learning can be, because often we're a little bit disillusioned with how online learning works. So, we can do it. I know we can do it. We will do it. It's an exciting future. It's a scary future, and I saw the word cloud, but the bottom line, we can do it. And so I'm so thankful for the opportunity to got to chat to you. Craig and myself and Bill are going to carry on, and we'll come back for some questions, and I'm going to also try and do some more streams as we go through, because we need to try and keep working together. So on that note, if you think we can do it, yeah, give me those thumbs up. I can see the thumbs ups coming there. Fantastic. I'm going to hand over to the erstwhile Craig Duff, and I'm going to get his slides on for him so that he can take over and continue from this point. Right, so thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful, and I'm just going to hand over to Craig for a moment now.
Thank you, Dr. Blewett. I think everyone will confirm that Bilal certainly didn't overstate what Craig's abilities are. I've watched Craig in many presentations, and I can assure you that 15 minutes or so was a fraction of what Craig does with the way he teaches. And I've just got a comment firsthand. We've worked very closely at NewBridge with Craig over the last 6 months to a year. We've embraced Craig's process completely of activated teaching, and we had one session with all our NewBridge lecturers last week, and we went completely live on Monday morning. We're now 3 days into our live teaching process, and having really embraced what Craig has taught us and what Craig has taught our lecturers, it's actually been a fairly seamless transition. Last week, when we thought we were going to have to be far more removed, and this is going to be an issue for all schools, we had parents that were talking about, well, will we still have to pay fees if we can't come to lectures? We've been blown away by the response from students and parents alike in terms of how they cannot believe how we've managed to move the whole education system online and the interaction that we've had. I mean, I was very touched, and we work a lot within a Teams environment. We had one of our students writing a poem about NewBridge and talking about they can't believe what's been done. So I'd like to say it's simple. It's Craig's background and the support that Craig's given us that has actually allowed us to do it. So we look forward to inviting you people onto the course to learn more about the pedagogies that need to be used within online education. Well, Craig and Bilal are just consulting, and thank you very much. If there are any questions you would like to ask, please put them through now, because Craig and Bilal will be invited back shortly just to cover some of the pertinent questions and the main themes that are being asked about, and we'll invite them back on in a second to come and chat. But the one thing I want to chat about before I hand over to them, and it's a very, very brief discussion, but it's a matter of leadership and what we need to focus on within these chaotic times. There's absolutely no question that the world of education as we've known it, it's going to change forever. Despite the fact that we are currently within a 3-week lockdown, and it could be a longer lockdown, the pedagogies that we're going to adapt, the way we're going to adopt, the way the students are going to become familiar with technology is going to become a very big part of education, and possibly the upside, if there is any possible upside of what we're going through right now, is it will actually force us into a new era of technology and digital education. Let's be honest, none of us signed up for this. None of us could have adequately prepared for this. But the reality is, we're here, and it's here with us. I think in just taking through and actually working in terms of what Craig has had to speak about, is that probably some of the biggest things that we're going to have to do over the next while is we're going to accept that every single one of us is going to need to be adaptive as a team. And it's already fantastic seeing some of the comments that have come through from the participants talking about working together. Craig spoke about the different schools and the different businesses that have put content online. We are going to have to collaborate, and it's no question that collaboration is the way of the future going forward from an education perspective. And I think the other thing, again, talking around some of what Craig spoke about, is we need to actually be fluid in terms of what we do. Let's start something today. We may have to actually readjust where we're going tomorrow. We may put something up for our learners and it doesn't work perfectly. Let's be fluid, let's be bold, let's try things, and by doing that we're going to actually see, we're going to be very comfortable going forward. Certainly for the many principles that we have within the webinar today, and different HODs and deputies and people that actually are in the roles of actually running schools. And it's just one of the thoughts that we had, or I had, in preparing for this. Everyone spoke at the beginning of 2020, and we've had many engagements with different school principals. We know how tough it is running a school at the moment. But it was tough when we had the ability to actually look at our whole management team every single day. We had the ability to chat to our admin staff, and we could actually meet with our teaching staff as the moment things arose. We could meet with learners and deal with their problems on a face-to-face basis. And now, within one presidential announcement, this all has to take place via technology. With all that's taking place and all the clutter within the system, as leaders, we need to make sure we bring calm, and we need to make sure we bring the spirit of Ubuntu. If we are feeling pressure and we are feeling anxious, the students, the learners, the parents are every bit, if not more, as anxious in terms of what's taking place. As leaders, we need to drive a can-do attitude, because at the end of the day, it's the way the teachers and the learners adapt to what we're doing. It's the way we drive this can-do attitude that is probably going to be hugely responsible for how we get through these challenging times. I've actually developed very briefly, and these slides will be shared for all members that have actually watched the webinar afterwards, but I've actually just developed some of the almost checklists that we as leaders need to go through during the time of crisis. One of the things, and sometimes we can be slow to actually react to some of the things that are taking place. So as leaders, as lead teachers, it's critically important that we become a trusted voice within the crisis that's taking place. We need to communicate quickly and honestly and let the stakeholders know what you know. These are two really important areas of dealing with a crisis. Sometimes we want to sit back and say, well, let's wait and see what takes place, or let's wait on the announcement that's going to take place on Friday. But as with learners sitting at home and parents sitting at home, the panic that they're feeling, it may be better to communicate early and let them know, we'll update you on Friday. We'll change our communication plan in response to the announcement that takes place on Friday. But be honest, let them know what you do know, and it will help take the crisis or the panic away from the people that are out there. Very, very importantly, and we know, and Craig spoke earlier about the social media platforms, most of our students live in a social media environment. And a lot of what's been actually communicated on social media becomes their reality. As leaders, we need to watch social media platforms, we need to watch social media channels to make sure that we understand what the students are regarding as reality. And once we see what's out there, and there are many, many areas of false news, false information, things that aren't correct, if we've created the ability to be the trusted voice within the crisis, can go on and give corrected information to place calm and get people to understand that it's not necessarily as bad as what it's been spoken about, but it's really a situation of saying, right, these are the facts, this is what you need to concern yourself with. Probably the most challenging thing for leaders at the moment is going to be to make sure we absolutely enthuse and show a positive attitude for everybody out there. In this time of crisis, if we do not show a positive attitude as leaders, it's going to ripple down into our staff, into our teaching staff, into parents and into students. We've got to give everybody the ability that if we work together, if we make this happen, no matter what takes place, no matter what gets thrown at us, we will survive this crisis, and we're going to come out stronger at the back end. We need to make sure that while we are almost experimenting with Teams and with Google Classroom and with Moodle, all our stakeholders know that if they work with the systems, if they work with us within these systems, we will get through this crisis. We will make sure that at the end of this year, students will be able to be assessed if assessments go ahead. Students or people that are dealing with grade 12s, the panic that they're facing, and we've already had it through many of the students that have actually applied at NewBridge for next year, that are saying, well, what happens if we can't write prelims? What happens if we don't get assessed at the end of the year? Whatever's going to happen, there's going to be a mechanism. Believe in what we're doing today. Get the students and the teachers to believe in what we do today, and that feeling of belief and self-belief that we as leaders need to give the people is going to drive the positive attitude and get the people to be confident to work within the platforms and to work in a digital space. We don't know what's going to happen on Friday, but we can share good, honest, truthful information about the position we're in today and the solution we've got today. And we can promise we'll get better at it, and we can promise we'll evolve our thinking. So it's really a situation, be positive, be proactive, let the world know what's taking place, let your world know what's taking place, to enthuse the students and believe that they will be successful. One of the things that I certainly say often is that in life, we don't often get to choose exactly what happens, but we do get to choose how we deal with the things that are happening. We're all in this together. And one of the things I know for certain, we will survive, we will conquer, and we will grow stronger. We just need to work together. Just before we hand over, I'd just like to wish everybody good luck and thank you for your participation in the webinar. We're going to now invite Dr. Blewett and Mr. Kathrada to actually come up and just deal. There's been a number of questions that have been put through, but just to deal with some of the principal questions in terms of what has been asked and the themes that have been followed. And I will then give a very brief conclusion and just talk about Craig's course that is going to be made available to everybody. So thanks again, and we hand over to our experts to deal with questions on platform and pedagogies.
Right, and I'll put up a chair. Right, let's get us onto the camera. Right, there we go. And now I've got to read a tiny minuscule screen, so I'm not as old as him. You know, when you get old like this fella, I mean, we can't see anything. I'm just going to pick on a couple of questions, and then just Bilal will pick on. Someone asked something about data issues and having access. I lecture at UKZN, and I know this has been an issue for our students, how they're going to access when they're off campus. I know very quickly a lot of the networks, I know like at Telcom I heard already, and some of the others are going to potentially zero rate education institutes. It might take a week or so to get this to all happen, but there is some movement around that. So that's the one question. There was another question around change management and staff thinking. This is huge, and I've worked for a long time with schools, and to me part of that process was trying to show teachers why we want to change, and maybe the why is not so relevant anymore because we have to, but the benefits of doing something different, and I really try and focus a lot on that, just hopefully as you saw in this presentation, and also in the online course, that once you realize that things can be done in other ways, and it's scary to start with, but there are other ways that are actually not that difficult and actually can be highly effective. I think that starts to bring around a little bit of change, and we're going to find there are a group who are really enthusiastic, and probably all of you online at the moment, but that will ripple and more, and as we start to see, yes, so-and-so is doing it, so-and-so is doing it, I think increasingly we'll see this is going to become the de facto, this is going to become the standard, because I truly believe that education is never going to be the same going forward, but for the better. Bilal, did you want to pick up on any particular question?
No, I've seen it. I think we're covered, but we are still going to be available if you need any advice. If you have any questions on the platforms we discussed, please feel free to contact me.
Fantastic. Just a couple of others I've seen in the stream. Someone, Brett Werther, said Minimeter is clearly a great tool. Yeah, it is a great tool. It's the one I was using, and someone asked about. It is free, but it's only free if you've got like 3 or 4 slides. I pay for it, and there are school options for it. It's only one example. Someone said recommend free tools that can be used. On the online course, every tool I show you is free. Again, the online course is just showing you a couple of tools very quickly because it's meant to be a short course just to get you up to speed quickly. There's loads of great tools. Someone mentioned Flipgrid, fantastic tool for supporting pedagogies like conversation and creation. There's a free tool from Microsoft. Please consider subtitling. Okay, there's one to do with subtitling. Yes, you can do that. What's really cool, if you put your videos on YouTube, and I'll explain how to do that in the online course, you can turn on automatic subtitling. It's not 100%, but it's probably pretty close, unless you talk very, very fast, like me. It's 99% correct, so that really does help.
What's cool about that is that it allows you to download just the subtitles, do your corrections, and then re-upload it. It's pretty nifty. Someone also asked about the next steps, and Craig is going to deal with this again, but you will be sent a link with a recording to this particular webinar, and there'll be a link to my online course if you didn't catch it in my last slide, and also if you want to subscribe to the NewBridge channel, this is also a great place where we'll start putting resources out here as well. So from myself, yep, it's scary. I'm about to go in lockdown, as we all are. But yes, I think sometimes these are the scary times that bring around really exciting opportunities. So thank you everyone for being there and being part of the webinar. Thanks a lot, guys. really had a good number of educators on the webinar. And I think if we put the message out much wider, we would have got a lot more people, because there's so much of interest in this right now, I mean, out of necessity. But once again, if you guys have any questions, we are happy to answer any questions, even offline.
Right, thank you. And hand over finally just to Craig to conclude.
Well, everybody, we're running just a few minutes over time, so I'll be very brief. Craigie, could you just come and help me? I've gone back to your slide. I'm on the wrong, there we go. Great. So just very quickly, Craig's course that he's put together, and the reason I just want to close on this very quickly, Craig is looking very fresh and exuberant, and he shouldn't be. He's actually put himself in about a 6-day self-imposed isolation in terms of getting this course ready. And just while you're still online, if you could just give a couple of thumbs up to Craig, the work that he's done. And I mean, he started working with us in NewBridge over the last while. In working with NewBridge, we've actually partnered to make sure that this whole course that he normally, this is what he does for a living, through our NewBridge platform, and we're working with Craig to actually make sure that it's actually going to be at no charge to any school, to any teacher that needs to get involved and interact on the course. It's a mind-blowing course. I've been through parts of it. Every time Craig does stuff, it blows me away. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Kathada, Bilal, thank you very much. Craig, thank you very much, not just for today, but literally for your hours of work over the last while. And I know in terms of what we can do with the teachers with Craig's online course, it's going to blow them away. And just to show you how fantastically the system works is we've got our tech team sitting next door. And through the questions that came through, the email that was going to come through to you in the next short while was going to be about how to get the link to this recording of the webinar, and also what you need to do to link onto Craig's course. What are the questions that came through? And within the letter that we send you, or the email that we send you, we will also have a link to a NewBridge portal, and there will be a direct area that you can come through to on the NewBridge portal, and we're going to create that as a live portal for all educators. We are going to allow it as a portal where you can ask questions, and this is very important. Please don't wait for us just to answer questions. Answer amongst yourselves. We are going to actually create an environment that if there are free bits of content, apps that you find, let's use it as a portal to be collaborative, to share as much as possible. These trying times are going to be solved through sharing. So the letter that or the email that you're going to get from us is going to have the link to Craig's course and what you need to do to register for Craig's course, the recording to this webinar, and how we can work on our NewBridge portal to share as much information on what's free and what content's out there. And so, with being 8 minutes over time, we'd like to thank you, sign out, and say good luck. We're going to do it. We're going to conquer. We just need to work together. Thank you so much.